Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of Wheel of Time. Great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So I'm going to break this down, obviously breaking it down by group. So first and foremost, let's start off with Moraine and Lan. In the aftermath of the season finale, obviously their relationship has kind of gotten complicated. The bond is gone, and I think, especially for Lan, it's like, that was kind of, he even says, it's almost like this third invisible person that was there along with us in this, our dynamic. We didn't even have to speak words. I knew when she was sleeping, I knew when she was upset, I knew when she was hungry, and now that bond, it's that thing of, he's kind of relied on that bond because it's been so tried and true for so long. He's been by her side for so many decades that it's like, now it's like, without that, they can't communicate, especially because Moraine's always been the secretive type. She always has been, and now it's like, now her secrets are even more kept from him. So, I don't even remember, I don't think, based on, I didn't have the chance to rewatch season 1 in preparation for that, so do forgive me of my lapse of memory. But based on the recap, it seems like she didn't tell him about Rand. She just said Rand is gone. So it's like, right, I think she's keeping that secret even from Lan. It's like, and now, because the bond between them is gone, he can't even tell that she's like lying. He knows she's keeping stuff, but he just doesn't know what. And so, and she's also got struggles of her own because she can no longer touch the source. And the way it's kind of described later on, it's like an assault on you that you kind of have to live over and over again. Because, I mean, this is something that's been with you for so long. It's like she's had a part of herself ripped away. She doesn't even, it's like she doesn't feel whole anymore. Just like her in the bath, kind of curled up and tears rolling down her eye because she doesn't feel, it feels like she feels so bare without it. Because it doesn't even feel like herself. And so she's trying to do so much. Like, I mean, at this point, the only people that seem to know are the trio that they're staying with. It seems like the only ones who know the truth about, well, and Lan are the only ones who know. I don't think anyone back at the tower knows about her connection to the source being cut off. So, kind of keeping that all to herself while, you know, having her own plans, her own machinations. She's meeting with so many people, but not letting Lan in on it. And for him, that's the most frustrating thing because it's like, just tell me what's going on. Here you are, you're being so dismissive of me, telling me that I should leave, but it's like, I'm your warder. I'm not going to leave your side. But it's like, even the guy there being like, well, if she has others to rely on, but also she is who she is. She's strong enough to kind of stand on her own and protect herself, even without the source. She is strong, as you know, and even if she needs to, I'll be there when she needs me. But for Lan, it's like, I can't abandon my duty. It's also like, it's not even just duty based anymore. It's like, I care for her deeply. But for him, he just almost feels like every time I'm trying to reach out because that bond isn't there anymore, it's like you block me. And I think Moraine is that type of person who would do that on purpose because I think maybe she's scared about what they are without that bond, but also because she is, I guess, doesn't want to rely on him so wholeheartedly, even though that's kind of their dynamic, but that dynamic has shifted so much now that she can't touch the source. So it's like, there's so much turmoil she's dealing with, and then on top of it, it's like, I don't have enough bandwidth to deal with what you're going through, Lan. I know you want me to reach out, but like, I gotta keep this to myself. It's like, yeah, and the guy even telling Lan, it's like, oh, you're almost as stubborn as Maureen. He's like, yes, almost. So he's got all this frustration, even telling her, fine, fix your own food and feed yourself. And you could tell, like, Moraine is like, she could tell, like, you could see she's hurt because she's like, I know what I'm doing and it sucks, but it's kind of like a necessary evil. I think I've got to pull you away because your job is to protect me, but at least I could protect myself. At least we made a team, and it's like our teamwork isn't matching 100%. Now you're kind of the only one out there in the front lines. You're not even guarding me while I'm kind of protecting both of us. Like the dynamic has shifted so much that I think it's just, how can I kind of connect with you when I can't even connect with myself? That's how I'm reading the situation. But for her, it's like what she's focused on right now is so important. She ended up finding the Heartstone. A guy came to her, but ended up being BS, which I love that she's like, okay, you guys at sea might be good, but we Aes Sedai came up with the game. Like, we know better than anyone, you know? So don't try to pull one over on us. So she got the message that was written in blood, and she's the only one that's read it, so we have no idea what it actually says. But whatever it was, it motivated her to try and leave on her own without letting anyone know what was what. and ultimately, she ends up getting attacked by some Fades. She kills one, but another one attacks it, and Land shows up, but more show up, and it's like, right, this is a kind of a him against two Fades, and he ends up taking down the third one, but the fourth one kind of gets him, but the others show up in time, and now it's like, what have you gotten us into? Like, what are you hiding from me for the Fades to kind of come all this way? Because they were following home, dude, because he was like, yeah, saw some people in hoods with their, I couldn't see their faces. And Moraine was like, you need to get out as far as sea as possible. Obviously, they can't cross water, so it's like, you need to be as far out and see that no one can track you down, because they will kill you for what? Because you've read the message. Who knows how many other people have read the message, but he might be the only one that's read it other than Moraine now. So it's like, you've got a target on your back, Bail, so don't come back. You want to get as far, to Ilion and as far as you can get, so... We'll see if he lucked out or whether the Fades did catch up to him. I mean, because they made it there in some time frame after he left, so they might have already caught up to him before they got to Moraine, or maybe they're still... I mean, maybe some of them are still tracking him while some of the others came here after Moraine, but we'll have to wait to see how that all plays out. What she's keeping secret. I mean, other than what we already know she's keeping secret, like the Rand situation, but... Beyond that, what else? I mean, you'd assume like maybe this has some correlation and connection to that, or maybe it's tied to the Dark One, but not 100% tied to Rand in that regard. But obviously, being the dragon, it's all according. They also mention it too in this episode. Thought was kind of interesting. Apparently, there's another false dragon around. Apparently, one even stronger than Logain from last season. So I was like, that's interesting. I wonder who they are. They're probably going to end up being pretty significant. I wonder if they're going to be around a lot. Because Logain was only around for, 2 episodes? I mean, really, it was like one full episode, and then he pop up at the end of one episode. Like, maybe it was 2 episodes, I don't remember. So I'm wondering if this false dragon's going to be around a while, or how that situation is going to play out. But let's shift over to Perrin. We're catching up with him, obviously, in the news, obviously, about Rand, and they're searching for... was it Pad and Fane and the Horn? And he's with God, I'm blanking on home dude's name now. It's something with an L. It's not like Leonel or something. I'm blanking on his name now. They said it in the episode, but I'm blanking on it now. But anyway, Perrin and him are with this guy, Ingtar, I believe. And they're trying to track him down, and they end up meeting the tracker Elias, and you can see with the way his eyes are and the way he looks at Perrin, he sees it in Perrin, because Perrin, they came across a scene of just all these slaughtered people, and Perrin kind of sees the situation, and he sees the little girl, that's the same little girl from the beginning of the episode, which we'll get to in a second, But the Elias saw Perrin looking at it. He was like, yes, there was one girl that got away, because Perrin started going in the same direction that the little girl went. So he's like, he sees it, but he didn't say anything, because Perrin's coming into his abilities little by little. He still doesn't have full control, because that just kind of kicked in on instinct, because I guess maybe it made him think of so much like the Two Rivers situation in the beginning of the series, that maybe seeing all that death and destruction kind of sparked that in him. But obviously, they found out one of their own was a traitor, a dark friend, and so Ixar was like, "Yeah, we're gonna bury everyone." And even Perrin's like, "Even this guy was a traitor. How are you not angry for him?" It's like, my anger won't bring my allies back. He did what he did, and me being angry about it, being driven for revenge, won't bring any of my men back. Won't bring any of these people back. So, but it's like, yeah, this guy betrayed us, and Perrin's struggling with that, because for him, it's like, Pagden. Fane, we welcomed him into our village. We let him welcome him even to our homes. Like, the last time we saw him, the bastard had the nerve to smile and wave at my wife, and my wife gave him the biggest smile. Yes, Perrin's still carrying a lot of anger and hatred for himself, because he hasn't fully gotten over the fact that, yes, I'm the one that ended up accidentally killing my wife, but none of that would have happened if the Trollocs never happened, and that only happened because Fane led them to us. So it's like, I'm afraid that if I'm one-on-one with him, what I'll do, that I will, murder him. I will rip him to pieces for what he's done. And there's also that complicated thing about, revenge. It's like, once you've gotten it, what next? That's the only thing motivating you. And if that's all there is for you, what will you be without that revenge, without that anger, without that sadness? But Ingtar was kind of like, well, maybe even Fane had his reasons for doing what he did. So when you do confront him and do talk to him, you may not like the answer, but there is a reason for, like, right, he is a dark, it is, I mean, everyone has their reasons. I'm sure it's like, what are you getting out of this, like, relationship with the Dark One? Why are you doing it? You know? And I'm curious, is there probably going to be a lot more weight and reason to that? It's not like, oh, maybe might be a sympathetic reason, and it might be the reason why a parent spares him. I mean, that will probably ultimately be the deciding factor on what his reasoning for being a dark friend was. That will motivate whether or not parent probably ends up killing him. So I think that feels like that's treading towards parent won't kill him, but it feels like that might be a double bluff of like, oh, you think parent might kill him, but it's like, no, parent's going to find out the reason why Fane did it and won't kill him, but it's like, no, he might still kill him anyway. So it's still a toss-up. I mean, at this point, it's like, no, I will kill him if I see him, but now it's like, especially when it's like Beltane and he's sending off the boat and he wants to leave his wedding ring up there, but before he sets it off, he takes it back and puts it on because he can't let go. He refuses to let go. So that's the heartbreaking situation. But like I said, at the beginning of the episode, we saw that little girl that we found out escaped, but she was with that group where the Trollocs are there and everything. And it's like, oh, she was hiding under the table and she was like, Mom. So her mom's a dark friend. She's part of that kind of inner circle. So, and we know one of them was Fane and he was there. And so Home Dude is showing her like, oh yeah, the Trollocs, they're not so scary. Kind of like talking about the good versus evil of it all. That like, oh, they're not evil. And even he's like, do I look like a monster? Because he's like, oh, they call me this and that because they don't want to call me by my real name. Because if they call me by any other name other than the scary ones, then I won't be the villainous person that I'm supposed to be. Like, you know, because I look like a monster? And it's like, no, but we know. You know, but it's that evil pretending to be like good, but also saying like, right, why get so caught up in the semantics of good and evil? It's all constructs. You know, I think it's kind of that thing. But I'm like, yeah, someone more on the evil side of things would kind of lean that way, I think. But so that was just kind of a little peek on the dark side of things a little bit at the beginning of the episode. I mean, her mom's a dark friend, so I'm assuming, like, that little girl's going to be raised to be one as well. The fact is that Home Dude has taken such an interest in her. It's kind of interesting as well. They did focus on the ring on one of the people. I don't think it was the same dude, because the person who had the ring had gloves, so feels like that's going to be like, oh, we're going to keep that hidden, but you'll kind of know soon enough when you see those gloves and that finger again, like, what's going on, you know? We also catch up with the whole tower situation, which is interesting. Obviously, Nynaeve is not as... Gwen is so willing to, like, take the leap on this whole situation, but Nynaeve, she's always been, reserved. I think it's because she doesn't want to become an Aes Sedai, and she doesn't want to leave behind everything that she's been taught, because she kind of stands against everything that they represent and what they've been and what she knows of them. And to become one of them, I guess it's like, feels like it's abandoning everything that she's ever really known, all her teachings, all that it feels like she'll lose herself in this, and she doesn't want to become anyone but herself. She has some block of why she's not really willing to go all that way, and maybe probably has to deal with Lan and the whole Moran situation of it all, but like I said, Gwen is a lot more receptive to it, trying to figure stuff out. I love when she was talking to Alana, and Lana was like, oh, like, kind of was reference. She's like, oh, I don't know what to kind of do with my other, using only one hand. It's like, oh, you got to learn how to pleasure yourself. Or she's like, no. I'm talking about weaving. Oh, okay. I'm like, how is that not obvious to you, Alana? Like, why you immediately go to, you know, the ward situations, like the warder situation, like with your, I mean, I guess it makes sense considering, like, Egwene, like, walked in on you guys doing your thing, but still. Which I do love that, like, Alana's there with Egwene, and then, like, her two warders are there with Nynaeve, because Nynaeve's kind of training with them, because she feels more of a connection with the warders than she does the Aes Sedai. I mean, it's like, well, is that because they've always been kind of good with her, but also it's like, well, because of Lan, it kind of brought you closer to Lan, so. But they ask her ultimately, it's like, what is your main reason for here? Like, the Aes Sedai will push you and, like, kind of, like, hurt. It'll all, like, there'll be so much pain and hurt in the long run unless you can immediately answer the question of, why are you here in the tower? What are you searching for? Why did you decide to come here? Because Nynaeve's kind of going along with the flow of like, right, we've seen the power inside of you. Egwene is powerful. She's the strongest we've seen, but you're probably 10 times stronger than her. Would you see that kind of like, it seemed like it irked Nynaeve a little bit more because Nynaeve is, I mean, no, not Nynaeve. It seemed like Egwene was kind of almost looking away because I think it bothered her a little bit. It's like, right, I have this power and I'm strong, but you don't even want it. And I mean, maybe that's going to be the benefit for her in the long run, is like, she doesn't want this power. She's scared of it. And it's like, well, there's a side of the Aes Sedai being like, you shouldn't be scared of this power. It is your power and no one else's, so embrace it, control it, and make it your own. But I think there's also, once again, Nynaeve doesn't want to lose herself to it, and doesn't want to lose who she is. Like, who will I be on the other side of this power if I really lean into it? She's too scared of it, of what it's capable of, what she's truly capable of. Especially with, Liandrin so up, because at first, like, with the way Liandrin's pushing her so hard, even saying the line of like, right, you become so powerful that no man, no woman, not even me could ever take that power from you, rise kind of above all of us. I'm like, man, you're pushing her so hard, but I'm like, what are your ulterior motives? I'm like, I'm stupid. I'm so stupid. She literally already told us her ulterior motives. Nynaeve is the strongest ever, so it's like, we need to take advantage of it. She needs to be our ultimate weapon, but she's so not willing to tap into it. And it's like, it's there. And it's like, once you kind of claim this power of your own, you'll never have anyone take it away from you again. But Nynaeve doesn't want the power. She has her fear around it. But Liandrin's kind of like, embrace that power because it is yours, And I guess on some level, maybe Nynaeve's worried that if she became an Aes Sedai, which one would she become? And then it feels like Liandrin wants her to kind of go down the more red route. So, which we found out Liandrin's got a secret of her own. She's got Mat. I'm curious does the rest of the tower know? But it's like, hey, like, because no one knows where Mat is, but now we know that Liandrin has him and read Perrin's letter to Nynaeve and Egwene, but she left out the part where he mentioned Mat. She's like, oh, they didn't mention you, trying to make him feel even more isolated and alone. He's like, dude, I haven't touched that dagger in like 6 months. Like, what do you want from me? And it's just kind of like, you're feigning ignorance. Because he can tell time-wise it's bell time. I don't know if he's secretly trying to escape the tower, because he did like I think he's carving out, kind of trying to make his own prison break little by little. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like the dagger calling to him, and maybe it's secretly in the wall and he's trying, because I was trying to remember that before or after, because the recap showed the dagger, but I was like, is the dagger still around, and is he trying to reach for it, or is he just trying to escape altogether, or is he trying to escape altogether and find his way to that dagger? Because that's going to be a sad situation. I mean, once again, everyone's kind of scattered. That was even something Perrin had talked about in his letter, and I thought that was this beautiful. He was like, yes, long story short, and kind of simplifying, he was like, this situation about shields, it's like a shield alone isn't enough to protect you, but when you're surrounded, like, that shield can be a guard for everyone around you. Like, as long as we kind of say in a spear, we always have each other's back. And that group of 5, we were always like that. But now that Rand is gone, now that Matt's out there somewhere, I'm here looking for the Horn and Fane. You guys are at the tower. We're just so scattered, and it's hard to watch our backs when we don't have each other to help stand in a circle back to back to guard each other. It feels like that's going between us now that, we're so scattered. So, and once again, they're still under the impression Rand is going, but we see him pop up just for a quick second to celebrating, bell time, which we see that he's cut off all his hair. Matt's kind of in the same department, his hair being shorter as well. So, obviously, a lot of catch up while also setting up the new season, or just, once again, picking up where everyone is in the aftermath of everything. I mean, it's not like the immediate aftermath. It's been months. But picking up afterwards, and also finding out where this new leg of the journey takes them. As Moraine found out last episode, this isn't the last battle. This was the first of many. We got a long tread to go before we get to the final battle, and there's going to be so much in between. So, how that all plays out, where all of this ends up taking us going forward, we'll have to wait and see. There are 2 more episodes out, so I'm going to be jumping on those as soon as possible. So I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good